What's going on, guys? Master Shields here, Champions Martial Arts Center. This is Talk Tuesday, episode number 11. On today's show, we're talking about kids that drive you crazy, homework, and my story. This is going to be a great show. This is going to be the parenting show. This is going to be the show that everyone will be able to learn something, at least take something away with this particular show. So question number one, how do I get my kids to do their homework? So a lot of parents tend to not know what goes on for homework. The kids get home and they just do what they want. So we're going to learn 5 things today that are truly going to help your kids get their homework done. So number one, when your kids get home, you want to know what they're doing, what they're into, so ask your kids to see their homework. You want to have them automatically showing you this so that you're involved, that you're a parent that knows what's happening rather than just having them roam around and do whatever they want. So number one, ask to see their homework. Number two, have them turn off all distractions. Any distraction that could possibly be around when it comes time for homework, turn it off, get rid of it. So turn off the TV, make sure they're not in a place that's going to have distractions. If they're in their room where their Xbox is, their computer, their tablet, their TV, whatever, get them out of there, because what's going to happen, you're going to end up walking by their room and they're going to be playing video games rather than doing their homework. So again, number one, ask to see their homework. Number two, turn off all distractions. Number three, do homework with them. So when they're doing their homework, you do some homework. Pay your bills, balance your checkbook, read a magazine, do something that's going to interact with what they're doing on a similar level. So again, if they're sitting down writing in their notebook for their English homework, right there, simple, do your bills, you're writing too, so it looks like you're both doing something similar. So do some kind of personal homework while they're doing homework at the same time in the same area, so that you guys are still able to connect and you can be there to help them if they have questions. Number four, set up study dates. Study dates are huge. Have their friends come over and do homework and do stuff together, because again, when kids are doing homework together, they're able to have, competitions and help each other, and they already know what's happening within the class, so it's easier to get them to do their homework in groups. So again, set up study dates. And number five, offer incentives, offer rewards, some kind of reward program where they're able to get something if they're able to finish their homework in a specific set of time. But it has to be done effectively and efficiently. They can't just rush through it and then say I'm done in 10 minutes. Make sure that they are being effective and efficient with their homework. So again, to recap, number one, ask to see their homework. Number two, turn off all distractions. Number three, do some kind of homework with them, some kind of personal homework, whether it's balancing your checkbook, writing bills, something, journaling, writing in your diary, something that is on the same line of what they're doing. Number four, set up study dates. Have them with their friends doing homework together. And number five, offer incentives. If they finish their homework in a certain amount of time, they might get 30 more minutes on the Xbox. They might get 30 more minutes playtime. Some kind of a reward for them to do certain things. Question number two, my 3-year-old plays a lot. Help me. So this is a great question, because a lot of parents, I see this in class all the time, a lot of parents tend to get frustrated and they're going crazy because their kids are just playing, they're all over the place, and they're like, just stop doing that. I want you to be normal, sit still, be quiet, don't do this, don't do that. But we don't understand what's happening. So a lot of parents don't invest in learning about their kids. You have to learn why your kids are doing what they're doing, what's going on in their brain, and understanding that. We spend so much money and invest time into all the parenting books, learning about what formula to feed our kids, what foods are good for our kids, what foods are not good for our kids, what retail chain stores to avoid, all these things that are great for you, but we don't understand what's happening within our kid's brain. And so it's important to learn about that. I'm pretty confident I could bet you anything that if I asked 100 parents or 1,000 parents or even 10 parents, you know, if you could tell me who's the leading child psychologist that created the stages of development and what those stages of development entail, most parents couldn't tell you. They wouldn't understand. And so it's important to invest in yourself and learn why your kids do what they do, what's happening in their brain, and really fine-tuning that so you understand the ins and outs of why they're doing what they're doing. So the 3 to 5 age group, that is your play group. That's the group that is learning through play. So if they're spinning in a circle going crazy, they're learning about getting dizzy and why they shouldn't do that. If they're running around and however they're playing, that's how they're learning. Think about little girls when they're playing with their dolls and they're talking to each other and make-believing little stories. They're learning about communication, effective communication, conflict, because they're creating conflict. They're learning about how to socialize, all these different things that they're learning through play. But if you're constantly trying to get them to stop playing, you're ultimately becoming an anchor and you're hindering their growth. You're making it worse for them and they're not going to reach their potential because you're pulling them back and saying, hey, don't play, stop that. You want them to sit still and be all of this and that, but that's not their development stage. Maybe 10 to 14-year-old kids have learned that, they understand that, but that age group they haven't comprehended and that hasn't developed yet in their brain. So the biggest thing about play, you want to let them play, let them have fun, let them learn through play. But at the same time, in order for you to get stuff done and for you to get things to happen the way that you want them to happen, you have to also include some kind of play, some kind of fun, some kind of game, a really fun interactive concept. So if you want your kids to stand still, make sure you're playing a game. Make it a fun, exciting game. Make it where you're playing statues. So don't expect your kids to stand still for like 5 to 10 minutes. It won't happen. Try and get it where they're standing still for 15 seconds, for 30 seconds, a minute. And slowly work your way up. So for example, you might say, okay, honey, I want to play a game with you. We're going to play a game, but I want you to listen when you're playing the game. We're going to play a game called Statue. I want to see how long can you freeze like a statue. So when I say statue, you have to freeze. So really fast, wiggle. So wiggle, 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 and statue. Now they're frozen, they're playing a game, they're standing still, all while you're talking to them. Got it? Okay, unfreeze. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Back to normal. So now they're slowly learning how to become how to stand still and how to become a statue in a sense, all while playing a game, but you're getting what you want and they're also learning but having fun and playing. Make everything some kind of fun contest, a fun game, a really fun interactive experience because that's how they learn at that particular age group. Don't punish them and take away playtime. Don't limit playtime because playtime is learning time. If you want them to learn, if your kids are in school, you want them to get the best grades, so you're sending them to school. You're making them study. The more they study, the better. The same thing with that age group. The more they play, the better because they're learning. They're learning about their body. They're learning about interacting with other people. They're learning so much through play. Don't stop that. Don't hinder it. Continue it, but you have to facilitate it through another learning experience to get what you want. You have to help them play in a sense that works with you. So hopefully that helps you with your kids. Question number 3, what is my story? My story is different than most other martial arts school owners' stories. And so I started martial arts way back when, a long time ago in Huntsville, Alabama, and there wasn't a lot of me. There wasn't a lot of me around, and so typically as society what happens is when something isn't normal or something is not what you commonly see or something you're not used to, you typically make fun of it, you fight it, you try and get rid of it, and that's the norm. And that's what happened to me. I got picked on a lot, I got beat up a lot, and got into a ton of fights, and it just wasn't fun growing up. And so I needed martial arts to help me to get better and just to be safe. And so that was a reason why I started martial arts, along with seeing the very first Karate Kid when it came out in the early 80s. So that was kind of how I started. I started under Master Lee in Huntsville, Alabama. And then my dad was in the military, so we always got stationed to different places and different duty bases and stuff, so duty assignments, and so we got reassigned, and so I went to a different school and started over and learned from a different person, and then we got an order to go to Korea. And this is like a martial arts dream come true because I get to go to the birthplace of where my martial art came from. And so up until this point, I was able to compete. And I was a state champion, national champion, regional champion, all kinds of fights and different things up until that point. And then going to Korea, I got my black belt in Korea, was able to compete and fight over there and learn a lot about martial arts in the birthplace. And then we moved here into Washington, started martial arts again here. And then, like many instructors, kind of just getting forced and thrown into teaching. I was about 12 and was told to go teach your first adult class. And so I knew nothing about that, didn't know what I was doing, but gave it my best shot and taught the best class of my life. And then from there, the rest was history. I knew that I actually had something. I had something good, and I could actually make this work. And so continuing teaching, I would do that through my schooling days. And then about 15, I was able to obtain a position at the YMCA and start their martial arts program. And so we started that. I took it from about 35 students to 650, had about 1,000-person waiting list, had a huge martial arts program. And up until that point, I mean, we had a lot of things happen. So I was a state champion again, fought nationally, fought on the regional circuit, all kinds of things, and winning all kinds of gold medals and had tons of accolades in that sense. And then, so after a while, I was at the Y for about 10 years. And then in 2006, I knew I had a higher calling. I knew I had a bigger purpose. I had tons of constraints, what I could and couldn't do, and I knew I wanted to do more. So we opened up Champions Martial Arts in 2006, and the rest is history. Been here ever since. And so I knew that I wanted to better our community. I knew I wanted to really help and facilitate really strong, positive atmospheres for people and give kids role models, and that's what I ultimately knew what should have been done. And so that's why we opened up the school. Been here for 10 years, not wanting to talk about my accolades of what I've accomplished, what I've done. Over the course of that time, I was able to, again, win all types of tournaments and gold medals, and you know, was nominated to be inducted in the U.S. Martial Arts Hall of Fame, did TED Talks, did stuff on the radio and the news, all kinds of stuff. And that's just kind of, for me, those are byproducts of the bigger picture. That stuff to me is just is petty stuff, because it's just little things. The impact that I can make on people's life, to me, means more than winning an award, winning a Hall of Fame kind of a deal. So I knew that was kind of my calling, that was my why, that was my purpose. And the thing that's different about me than most martial arts school owners is I actually lived everything that most of our students experience. I wasn't the starting quarterback in high school, you know. I wasn't the prom king. I wasn't all of that, you know. I was the kid that got picked on. I was the kid that got bullied. I was the kid that was shy and quiet and introverted and all these different things. So I can relate to kids that are getting picked on. I can relate to them because I experience it. I remember growing up and I was thinking, man, this is a horrible life. This is so horrible because I'm experiencing this every single day. I hated life. But now I'm like, man, I know what I was going through because there was a higher calling, there was a bigger purpose for me, so I could relate to people and ultimately help them. And so that was kind of why I did everything. You know, my goal here was to create an atmosphere that can literally add value to people's lives, to create purpose, to really facilitate that, and just add value to our communities and generations to come. I truly wanted to help people live their best life and become champion people. All the accolades meant nothing to me. I don't care if you can kick really high or you get so many submissions or all these different things you can do. I want to know what kind of person you are. That really means the most to me. So that's kind of how everything came to be. That's kind of how everything happened, and that's my story. A lot of times whenever a new student walks in, they don't sit down. I don't have to tell them this 10-minute story of my life. You know, they see what happens within the school, and that's more important to me. So for anybody curious about that stuff, there you go. That's my story, and that's kind of how everything happened in a nutshell. So until next week, guys, you keep asking questions and I'll keep answering.